Call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Rory Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Greg Sugar from Tarrant County. After the invocation, please remain standing for the pledges.
Heavenly Father, we are blessed in many ways to be in Tarrant County. We are in debt to you for your many blessings. Please guide this Commissioner's Court, the elected officials of Tarrant County, and all the respective staff with your wisdom. We pray that all those in position of leadership listen to the words of your servant Solomon from Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path. We pray that those that serve Tarrant County have open hearts, open minds, and will listen to your guidance. In the words of your servant, Pope Francis, in his speech to Congress, politics is an expression of our compelling need to live as one in order to build as one the greatest common good. We pray, O Lord, that you guide us in our daily lives, in our roles in this county, in this community, in our families to reach the greatest common good that is a reflection on our faith in you. With this we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Greg. Agenda announcements, Mr. Mayes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members, we do not have any announcements as it relates to today's agenda. However, I would like to say that the architectural presentations as it relates to the Juvenile Center project, that we are going to bring those to court. There will be 3 of them that we'll be presenting to you for your direction, and that is going to happen on Tuesday, May 10th. So that may be a little longer court agenda. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that particular item. That's May 10th. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of March the 29th.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion is second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have several proclamations, resolutions today. The first is the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month, and I know that Julie is here. Julie, come on, and you got a bunch of folks here with you, and obviously we got people in blue in our audience. But bring down the folk. Lena Pope, all Church Home, Women's Center, Parenting Center, our criminal DA's office. Child Protective Services and Alliance for Children. Y'all all come on down. Now, I know that the theme this year is Stand Up for Children. So let's all stand up, and then I'll try to read this in the record.
That'll work.
Whereas Texas children are our future as well as our greatest resource, and every child deserves a nurturing family and safe environment to grow into a healthy, productive member of community. And whereas child abuse is one of our nation's most serious public health problems and threatens the safety of our community, and whereas 171 Texas children's lives were lost to child abuse in 2015, with 16 of those child deaths being in Tarrant County, where 14,122 investigations were completed in 2015, and 6,213 children were confirmed as victims of child abuse and neglect, whereas finding solutions to prevent child abuse is a community responsibility, depending on involvement of all citizens and communities must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families, and whereas effective child abuse prevention, investigation, and treatment programs succeed because of partnerships among public and private agencies, schools, religious organizations, medical services, and the business community. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2016 Child Abuse Prevention Month in Tarrant County. Further, that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, urge all citizens to be aware of the signs of child abuse and act to protect the children of Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 5th day of April 2016. I'll move its approval.
Second.
With 4 seconds. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously, and let me bring the plaque down, and then we'll, I think we're gonna have a hard time getting all the picture, people in the picture. Why don't we put them in the well? We'll all go in the well. I'll let GK move it because I'll break it and he'll blame me for it for the rest of my life.
There you go.
Now, y'all coming in here too. Come on, girl. That's right, we're gonna get everybody in the room. We're gonna fill up.
Expect me to carry it for you. Thank you. No, get in there.
All right. You may have to step back a little bit before you're gonna get all of us in here.
Yes.
Like right outside the door.
One more.
We got about several more behind you.
Yes, I think so.
All right, y'all. Is that it? All right. We'll bring the roll back up.
Okay, you can have your first back. Thank you. Just didn't ask me.
Good, you all right? Well, I guess I am. I got my first, well, I don't have it on my land yet, but I got it on my house.
I don't, know how that
It
was.
went up. Hopefully I'm covered.
We need the punch back.
I'm good at this.
Well, what an honor to stand with you today and stand up for children. I have the distinct pleasure to stand before you as the rep of all these amazing people that work for children every day. As you said, Judge, 6,200 children just in Tarrant County that were confirmed victims of child abuse. And it takes a village to support those kids. And it's amazing to stand united with all the different professional agencies that are charged with working with our children. As a Children's Advocacy Center, we have the opportunity to work with advocates across the state of Texas at times. And it is always a moment of honor when they acknowledge just how different we do things in Tarrant County and the level of collaboration that exists. And hopefully you saw that displayed today. For 6,000 children need more than one agency can handle at this point. So as you know, Everyday Alliance for Children partners with law enforcement, Child Protective Services, our Criminal District Attorney's Office, and Cook Children's Medical Center to ensure that as children are identified, their investigation is handled in a way that is trauma-informed, that is in a way that's collaborative at its core, in hopes that not only are we seeking protection for children in this community, but we're giving them the services they need to be whole. And we do that united with multiple different agencies like ACH, Lena Pope, Women's Center, Parenting Center, multiple agencies that come together. And yet, as I stand before you and think about 6,200 children, I know our work isn't done. 6,200 speaks to the children in 2015. And I'm not a math person by any means, but the math in me knows that that means kids today are being abused. And to be honest, I'm burdened by that. Are we doing enough for the kids today to, hopefully I stand before you next year and that number's less? or I stand before you next year and we don't have 16 kids that have died this year because of abuse and neglect in our community. So please know that this work is only possible because of leaders like you who are willing to bring it to light, willing to have challenging conversations and stand up with us for our children. So thank you again for allowing us to come before you. Thank you again for all that you do to ensure that this topic is not one that goes silent, but instead one that we shine a light on, and that we're standing up for kids today and for those in the future. So thank you.
Julie, thank you very much, and thank everybody for all of the work that I know, as you said, it really does take a tremendous amount of effort. And folks, I mean, it's over 520 kids a month.
Yeah.
And that means we're talking that as we go through this day, at least 15 kids are going to be abused, and that's just not, it's just not acceptable, and we need to do everything. And I know that everybody in this room, in this building, are committed to our children, and we just got to keep up the effort. But thank you for kind of bringing all these groups together, collaborative effort, and I think it makes such a difference in, unfortunately, the lives of the children who y'all are serving and who you helped get through this traumatic period in their lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a certificate of appreciation that has already been delivered, and so I will move for the ratification of appreciation of Grandmaster Wendell Miller.
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have a proclamation.
I've got
Three.
2 proclamations and a resolution.
There you go.
The first is for ratification only. It is in recognition of Cesar Chavez Day, which we celebrated this past Saturday with a march through downtown Fort Worth. I would move its ratification. The proclamation has already been presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second resolution is National Crime Victims' Rights Week. I would ask that you read that into the record, please, Your Honor.
Whereas Americans are victims of more than 20 million crimes each year, regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, or economic status, and whereas victims face challenges in finding appropriate services, including victims with disabilities, victims of color, deaf and hard of hearing victims, LGBTQ victims, tribal victims, elderly victims, victims with mental illness, immigrant victims, teen victims, victims with language barriers, and other. And whereas incorporating communities' existing experts and trusted resources of support into efforts to fully serve survivors will develop a criminal justice system that is truly accessible and appropriate for all victims of crime. And whereas with the support of their community and victim service providers behind them, survivors feel empowered to face their grief, loss, fear, anger, and shame without fear of judgment. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week, April 10th through 16th, 2016, is an opportune time to commit to ensuring all victims of crime, even those who are challenging to reach or serve, are offered culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate services in the aftermath of the crime. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim the week of April 10th through 16th, 2016 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and reaffirm that this county's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims. And further, we express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, service providers, and professionals who are committed to improving response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. in witness whereof we have herein set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 5th day of April, 2016.
Your Honor, let this resolution be a reminder that all of us stand with those who have been victims of crime, those who are suffering grief, those who have suffered loss. We stand with these victims. I move approval.
Second. We have a motion to second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
This morning, we've got Laurie Clarida, Victims Assistance Coordinator with the Sheriff's Department, who will accept this recognition.
Welcome.
Thank you, Judge Whitley. Commissioner Brooks, thank you very much for presenting this today. And Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
As Julie said earlier, helping crime victims is a collaborative effort, and there are many agencies represented here today, not only to help child abuse victims, but also adult victims of crime. The Tarrant County Coalition of Crime Services is made up of many, many different agencies within our county, from law enforcement to the criminal justice system, child abuse providers, sexual assault providers, family violence providers. And we all come together, and every year we have our tribute to victims during National Crime Victims' Rights Week. This year, our event is going to be on Wednesday, April the 13th at 3 o'clock at the Women's Center. And I invite everyone in attendance today to come join us and pay tribute to those who have been victimized by crime. And Kelly Willis, who is my counterpart at juvenile detention, has an invitation for each one of you to our event this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Your Honor, my last proclamation is in recognition of National County Government Month. All of us here, I would hazard to guess, believe in county government. I would hope that many of you agree with me that county government is the most relevant government, and it's the best place to serve. I'm going to ask Judge Whitley, as a former president of the National Association of Counties, to read this proclamation into the record.
Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, serving more than 300 million Americans, provide essential services to create healthy, safe, vibrant, and economically resilient counties. And whereas Tarrant County and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas through National Association of Counties President Sally Clark's Safe and Secure Counties initiative, NACO is encouraging counties to focus on strengthening the safety and security of their communities. And whereas in order to remain healthy, vibrant, safe, and economically competitive, America's counties provide public health, justice, emergency management, and economic services that play a key role in everything from residents' daily health to disaster response. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to actively promote programs and services to the public we serve, and whereas the Tarrant County Commissioners Court, in its decision-making process through planning, collaboration, policy analysis, statistical research, and grant coordination through the County Administrator's Office, provides oversight to the management of department operations under the Commissioners Court and implements policies, budgets, facilitates legislative efforts, and other initiatives adopted by the court. And whereas the Tarrant County Commissioners Court administers community development, affordable housing, and homelessness programs in coordination with municipalities and local nonprofits, coordinates the development of collaborative criminal justice planning partnerships and strategies that address county and state recidivism rates and county jail and state prison populations, and serves the residents of Tarrant County by coordinating emergency management and homeland security programs to prevent, mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies and disasters in cooperation with regional partners. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim April 2016 as National County Government Month and encourages all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. In witness whereof, we have herein to set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 5th day of April 2016.
And as a future president of the National Association of Counties, I move its adoption.
Second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I will make sure this is passed on to the NACO leadership.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks, and thank you for your service, as well as I know others have been on the court, have also been active in NACO, and I really believe that that's an organization that serves us extremely well, not only in D.C., but also in other areas of county government. That brings us to our employee recognition. The way this works for you newcomers is that as I call your name, or what sounds like your name, please stand up. And some of you will understand that as we get further in the program. Please stand up and then wait until I've completed with that particular group of employees. And then at that point in time, we'll congratulate you and we'll move to the next. So beginning with our 5-year employees, Larry Bell, Precinct 1. Marisol Bonilla, District Clerk's Office. Nikita Borders, Sheriff's Department. Michelle Charles, Sheriff's Department. There you go. Nicole Dews, Sheriff's Department. Misty Eldridge, Tax Office. Misty. Brian Foster, Transportation Services. Robert Johnson, Medical Examiner's Office. Gail Johnson, Public Health Department. Asia Latu, Sheriff's Department. Yeah, well, that could be, if you're out there and it sounds like it, stand up.
That's good.
Or if you know that's where you are in the alphabet, stand up. Amanda Lopez, Human Services. Francisco Pedraza, Sheriff's Department. Richard Rodak, Domestic Relations Office. Deborah Singleton, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2. And Linda Vera, 322nd District Court. These are our 5-year employees. Let's give them a hand. Now for our 10-year employees. Alexander Adukai. Yeah, well, Alexander, are you here? Should have asked if he was here before I went ahead and tried to pronounce that last name. Lucas Allen, Criminal District Attorney's Office. David Atkins, Sheriff's Department. David Brown, Sheriff's Department. These easy ones, why aren't they here? Judge Cataloni, Criminal District Court number 3. Elsa Collins, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7. Eventually, we're going to hit one of you folks.
Right now.
Luke Crane. There he is back there. JD said you're going to hit him right now. Joshua Douglas, Sheriff's Department. Luke, by the way, was with Precinct 4. Cornelia Emery is not here today, but when she gets back off of military duty, deployment, we'll recognize her. Lawrence Gaston, Sheriff's Department. Geneva Long, Public Health. Gregory McNeese, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Randall Plate, Precinct 4. Thank you. William Stevens, Public Health Department. There's William. Spivey Thomas, Juvenile Services. Karina Valaba. Yeah, that didn't work out well, I don't think. Tax Office. John Walters, Sheriff's Department. And Jonathan Webb, Sheriff's Department. Here are our 10-year employees. Let's give them a Now for our 15-year employees, Denise Anderson, Juvenile Services. There's Denise. Ann Farmer, I think we all know her. Human Resources, stand up there. Felicia Guerrero, Juvenile Services. Juan Lahara, Juvenile Services. Max Lichtenberger, Facilities Management. Chaney Price, Criminal Court Number 5. Kyandra Young, Sheriff's Department. These are our 15-year employees. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Now for our 20-year employees, Debbie Connor, Domestic Relations Office. Welcome. Eddie Graham, Facilities Management. LaCandris Jackson, Juvenile Services. Justice Bonnie Suttereth, Court of Criminal Appeals. There's Judge. We appreciate you being here. And Monica Guzman, 352nd District Court. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your time. Now for our 25-year employees, I will call, I've talked with all but 2, so if those 2 show up, then we'll have an original conversation. They don't call me back, and that's what happens. That just kind of is a place marker for you 20 years. When I call you, you better call back. Buck Buckner, Sheriff Security, 25 years. Where's Buck? I thought he was going to be here. All right. When y'all see Buck, who happens to be at extension 6297, tell him congratulations on his 25 years. Next is Angela Christian, County Clerk's Office, 25 years. Started in the County Clerk's Office in the marriage license area. Excuse me. She's now in the real property area. When I asked her about memorable events, and this was not, obviously this was not today, but 5 years ago when we celebrated her 20th year, her father was actually able to give the invocation that day, and that's something that meant a great deal to her. He's since retired, I think you said, but we appreciate that very much. And I'll mention this in a minute. I'll just come back to it. What she likes most about working for the county is the people that she's had a chance to work with. Being able to interact with the people, with the public, is something she really enjoys, and the diversity of the work that she's had over the years. When I talked with her 5 years ago, she said it seems so strange to hear 20. And so I asked her, well, how's it going to sound to hear 25? And she said, it's good. It's good. She appreciates the opportunity she's had to work with Tarrant County. She said, I have seen a lot of changes in the department. She said, I watched the old civil court building come down. And yeah, I know. We all watched that with great enjoyment. She mentioned that she had an older sister who worked in community development, and she actually received her 25-year pin back in January. So I missed that the last time we went through this process, or I didn't ask that question. But she said, you know, I really, really feel grateful for the opportunity to have worked for the county. We appreciate very, very much the 25 years you've given us. Thank you very much. Next is Thomas Davila, IT, there he is. Works in the IT area. Started off with working computer operator in the second shift, and now is doing the desktop support for the resource connection. Basically what he remembers as his most memorable moment is how much IT has grown and changed over the 25 years that he's been with us. He loves the people. He loves the opportunity to work with everyone, the benefits. I asked him what had happened over the last 5 years. He said, you know, his kids are grown. He has a daughter that's 25 and a son that's 22. And then he has 2 grandsons, one that is 1 and one that is 4. Thomas, we appreciate the 25 years you've given and worked for Tarrant County. Now, is Andy Lang here? Okay, he was on vacation, so I wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it, but if you know Andy, if you see Andy, please, he works at the labor detail, please congratulate him on his 25 years. Next is John Pettijohn with the Sheriff's Department, 25 years. Is John here? He wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. So if you see John, please also, he is a bailiff in the courts building, so please give him congratulations also. Next is Lanny Warham with the sheriff in the training area, 25 years, started in the Belknap jail, worked a little bit in warrants and in felony warrants, and is now back, kind of is in the training area. When I talked with him in the past about memorable moments, he said, this has really been a great job. Working in warrants was something he really enjoyed. He said, the funny thing about warrants is you never knew where you were going to be looking and where you might find someone. He said, I remember finding somebody in a refrigerator. He said, I found them under the house. You just had to kind of look at all the areas and just not feel like that, no, they wouldn't be there. They'd be there. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was the officers that he'd had a chance to work with and really felt like Tarrant County was a great place to work. Was very appreciative of his time here. Now, when I talked with him at 20 years, he said planning to be here about another 5 years. And now he's hoping for another 5 years. Since last I talked, he has a 5-year-old son, which I told him may mean he may be here 15 or 20 years. And he said, originally I thought that it would be difficult coming off the streets. And I really like this. But then he said, then I got to thinking that in the training that I was training the future me. And that really brings home the responsibility and the importance of the folks in our training area. It does mean a lot. Lanny, thank you for the 25 years. Lieutenant Brinkman, 30 years of service. There he is. Started out in the Belknap jail, was in courts area, has been in the evidence room and surveillance. Back in the jail now. Most memorable moment, and this was from a couple of years, this was from, I guess, the last 5 years. It said late night surveillance. And I'm sure there's a story there, but I'm sure we're not going to get him to tell it at this point in time. What he likes most is having an opportunity to supervise and to teach the young folks as they're coming up, the stability of the job. Since last we talked, we talked about the maximum security jail, and Chief Knowles had said, why don't you come over here and work this a little bit? And he was I think he was a little reluctant in the beginning, but he said, I don't care what everybody may say or anybody may say, that jail is working perfectly. it's been a great deterrent for people acting out in our other jails because they don't want to be sent over there. And once they get over there, they start figuring out ways to get back into the general population, and then they explain to those people in general population why they really don't want to go over to the maximum security. So it has served its purpose of keeping the worst of the worst away from the general population and out of contact to a great degree of our officers, because most of those folks that are there because that's where they really belong is, they're bad folks. And they have nothing to lose at where they are and at the point in time that they are. He has 2 grown daughters, one that's working at the Fort Worth ISD, the other one is in California, has 3 grandkids, a boy and 2 girls. Lieutenant, we want to thank you very, very much for the 30 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. Next is Richard Brown. He works the graveyard shift, and I don't think he was going to be, for IT, and I don't think he was going to be able to make it down, but he has 30 years of service. Please congratulate Richard and thank him for his service to Tarrant County. Next is Kurt Bruchert from IT, 30 years of service. There's Kurt. Started out as a programmer, worked up through the ranks, has been a senior project manager in the criminal justice area. Currently, remember last week when we approved the disaster management project? Well, Kurt is working on that. Has seen, I guess, the implementation of a couple of different payroll systems, which has got to be a joy. If you ever miss a payroll, then you want to be in hiding for about the next 2 weeks. And we've never missed that. We have never done that. And that has a lot to do with the folks in IT. It has a lot to do with the folks in the auditor's office. And sometimes because of our holiday schedules, it puts them under some pretty tough turnaround times. And they recognize that, and they make sure that it happens, even if they have to work all night. It also means that when we have bad weather, and that occurs or we have the forecast of bad weather, some of them may be lodged up downtown just to be sure that they can get in, because you know what, the county never closes. Just wanted to make sure we got that out there. I know some of y'all are grimacing at me, but they are here to make sure that that check hits that payroll account or that it's available for you when that happens. So I kind of got off beat, but at the same time, if he ever misses one, that way if there ever is a happenstance, then there's at least 3 or 4 people who I can look at in this room that know they're going to be in hiding. What he has indicated is, as far as what he likes most, is being behind the scenes, helping those folks who are the front lines do good and have the tools at their fingertips to do good. And when you stop and think, a lot of our departments, the customers that they serve are the employees within the county. They give you the tools to be there when the public steps up and to be able to provide them with what they need. He said, I enjoy and love the family atmosphere. He said when he came to work here, he really only planned on working for about a year and getting a little bit of experience and then go out in the real world. And I think he decided that the real world was pretty good right here. He said, I've gone through a couple of CIOs. He has 8 grandkids, 3 of which are here in this area, 2 in China, and 3 in Austin. I believe you said that that one of your children and their spouse work in China, or maybe in the foreign State Department, or in the State Department in China. Well, I was close. This memory ain't what it used to be, and my notes are even worse. Of course, if I'd have read a little bit further, it does say that He has 3 boys that are lawyers, which we won't hold too much against them. One's a teacher in China. It's right there in the notes. The one's in IT. There's one lawyer in Austin, a teacher, and a local IT. His wife is a lawyer. She retired from her day job so she could practice law. What a disappointment.
She was probably an accountant.
No, I don't. Surely she wouldn't do
CPA.
that. Surely
Yeah.
she wouldn't do that. Kurt, all kidding aside, thank you for helping this department. Jacqueline Sargent, 35 years, JP. Started in the tax office under Reed Stewart, transferred to Judge Thompson, and now it's now Judge Woodard. She is currently the court manager in that JP's court. She said, I love helping the customers and the people that she's had a chance to work with. Family atmosphere. She said, I really can't believe how quickly the time goes by. She says she remembers when she got the 25-year plan and that she still didn't expect to still be here at 30. And so I asked her, so now how do you feel about being here for 35? And she said, wow. But she said, I have a chance to work for the best judge. And she mentioned something about a commissioner, but I don't remember what that was. Added, she said, we've added court mediation to a lot of the things we do. And she said, we really try to be involved in the community. And she said that's made a big difference. Jacqueline, thank you for the 35 years. Again, we want to thank all of you, and you really are what and I say this, but you really are what makes Tarrant County such a great place. You have a public service attitude about you that says you want to help the people who are in front of you, whether they're behind bars, whether they're coming up to lodge a complaint, whatever they're doing, you try to listen and try to help them in any way you can get back on track and to feel positive when they walk out our doors. And that means an awful lot to this court and to really everyone, and it really is why Tarrant County is a great place to live. Refreshments, 504C. Well, I was going to say beat Wilder back there, but he's already back there. So thank y'all again.
Resolution providing approval for the issuance of Series 2016 Retirement Facility Revenue Bonds, one or more series by the Tarrant County Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corp. For Buckner Retirement Services in an amount not to exceed $115 million.
Move
Can
approval.
we need to ask at least 5 or 6 questions.
Move approval.
Second.
You're overruled.
We have a motion and a second. Are you sure there's not any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Commissioner Johnson, you do not know how much I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Not near as much as Lisa does.
Is she even here today? No. Thank you, Lisa.
She went out to get that cookie from Wilder. Ms. Tidwell.
We have one item we're asking the court to consider this morning, and that is to receive and file the Tarrant County financial statements for the period ending February 29th, 2016.
Move to receive and file. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Snyder?
The Risk Management Board is recommending the payment of 2 claims, one to Rusty Husky and the other to Nationwide Insurance, a subrogation for their client. And the amounts listed on your court communication.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning.
We have a few more items for the court. The second item, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for juvenile services. As the court is aware, that position is about to be vacated. The juvenile board is requesting a waiver of 320 vacation hours effective April 18th. We're estimating the cost to the general fund to be approximately $31,000. There may be salary savings. We're not sure at this point.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
If we can skip to item 4, we're asking the court to approve the 18th annual Tarrant County Employee Picnic at Six Flags of Texas. What we're requesting from the court today is the approval of the 10% deposit. That will be $5,274, and we do have these monies budgeted.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
If we can go back to item 3, I'll have Ms. Worthy come and address this item with the court.
Good morning, Robin.
I'm here to request approval of the Public Employee Benefit Cooperative offering biometric screenings to our employees. In January of 2015, we joined the PEBC Wellness Program, Rewards Program, and we would like approval to have them offer biometrics. We hope to offer these between May and September. The employees can participate in these and earn points up to 300 points, or when they earn 300 points, they can receive $300. And the cost for each screening is $50, and we hope to have 5 to 6 events. We're working on locations and coordination of that now.
I would like to once again register my objection for eliminating prostate cancer screening from the biometrics that we keep track of. I think it's short-sighted and wrong.
Yes, sir. We, as you know, have been in discussions with other entities to possibly offer that, and we'll be bringing that back as a briefing item to you in the next few weeks to have the ability possibly to offer PSA testing independent of our biometrics.
But the employee spouses can also take advantage of this, right?
No, this is for employees only. The employee spouses can earn 300 points, but the biometric events are only for employees.
So the employee spouses have to go to their own primary doctors?
If they want to get the points for the biometric. There's a variety of ways you can get points, but if they want to get the biometric points, yes, they would have to see.
Have we notified the employees about that opportunity?
of the
For their spouse
spouses.
to
Yes,
participate.
yes, sir. That was in the enrollment guide this year when that was distributed to the employees prior to enrollment.
Thank you. I move for its approval.
Second. I would also just add that they've got to accumulate that 300 points by October 31st.
Correct. There's actually 3 different rewards periods. The first one, you had to have your points completed by March 31st for an award in May. The second is by June 30th for an award in August. And the last one is by October 31st for an award in December.
And then also, I mean, for the most part, if you get a physical, which is, well, you know, one of our wellness things, and there's no charge, most cases, they're going to do the biometrics in the lab work, and that will automatically, as long as you allow them to push that information over, that will automatically allow those records to be entered into for your points accumulation. And then, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Commissioner Brooks, on the prostate exam and or PSA, but that is usually a part of your biometrics. And
If
part of
you
the
can
physical.
get men to get a physical.
Well, I
That
understand
doesn't, that doesn't happen easily, and it doesn't happen routinely. If we're giving an event such as this, and the men are present and available, we should give them the PSA while we've got them.
Well,
And not have them have to go to their physician, their primary care physician, to get a physical in order to get it.
Well, okay, I misunderstood you, because when you spoke earlier, I thought you said prostate exam.
No. Prostate screening.
Okay.
The PSA.
So then all we would be doing is asking United Healthcare and their wellness, whoever that is, to go ahead and put that in.
United Healthcare will not offer a PSA. That is not part of their biometric screening. They will not offer that to us. Their
And maybe we
philosophy is,
need another vendor.
their philosophy is that those need to be under medical consultation. And so since the biometric events don't have medical consultation, they are not offered. They are available as part of preventative care through a physician if you're a United Healthcare covered individual. And I wanted to make one clarification on the spouse. The spouses that are eligible are those that are carried on our insurance. So if you have a spouse that's carried as your dependent, they are eligible for this rewards program. So if your spouse is not covered by this insurance, it would not.
So for example, my spouse who is on her employer's health plan would not be eligible for the $300
Correct.
deal. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do we have any Villanova or United Health or North Carolina fans here? You just have to vote for, you just have to support anybody but Arkansas when it gets to the end.
Just a winner.
It was a heck of a last 5 seconds.
Great game.
It was. Go ahead.
We have 2 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2016-059, standard contract for installation and removal of guard fencing for use by all precincts. Recommendation be to award on a per enterprise basis, awarding to Van Eli Incorporated.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Second and last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid 2016-093. This is a bid for the purchase of beam seating for the Sheriff's Department. Recommendation would be to award the low bidder, the Norris Group Incorporated, on a per enterprise basis.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Beam seating in Arkansas is either a log or 2 cinder blocks with a 2x12. This is better.
Thank you, Jack.
I think it's probably a 2x6 versus a 2x12. Commissioner Wynn, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
Move for the approval of items 8K, 1A, and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments? There being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manning.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have 3 items to bring to you this morning. Excuse me. The first one is a report from Tarleton State University as it relates to Tarrant County Jail Use Study. You might recall this is something that Commissioner Brooks had initiated with the court, and we're here now to present at least partial findings of that particular study. So with that, I'll introduce Dr. Hollis with Tarleton State to give that report.
Good morning, Commissioners and Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
It is my honor and privilege to be here to finally address some of the initial findings of our study. As you can see in the PowerPoint that we've developed, this has been a collaborative effort. My colleagues are in 2 other parts of the state today, so I am here representing the Tarleton State team. What we have in front of you is the first draft of the Volume 1 report, and please feel free to ask any questions as we go. I'm going to give you a brief overview, and then I'll be here for whatever questions you may have. All right, so the research goals of the study that we have been carrying out for you have been to examine the jail use and the various contributions to the jail population, to examine any areas of concern for jail overuse, to evaluate any of the related programs that are being used in the justice system, focus on developing data-driven approaches to address some of the areas of concern that are identified, and also, at the same time, we want to examine any bookings and the length of stay that people have in the jail. The goal that, if we can summarize this for you, is can we simultaneously reduce any bookings, decrease time in jail, increase the number of releases from the jail, but all of that while maintaining and/or increasing public safety, because public safety has to be our focus. All right, so the first component of the study and the first major focus area, as we've discussed and as is in our contract, is the mental health focus. So what we have in front of you right now is Volume 1, which is an overview of the mental health problem in the county jail. Volume 2 is the draft that we're working on now, and we hope to have done within the next 2 weeks and submitted to you for your information, which will be a little bit more in-depth understanding of this problem. In Volume 1, we have a survey of county stakeholders on their perceptions of the mental health concerns and mental health issues in the criminal justice system and best approaches to deal with those. We also have information on diagnostic prevalence of mental illness in the county jail and that kind of thing. Volume 2 will take that the next step and start looking at, for the mentally ill population, average length of stay, the average number of bookings for different types of mental illness, the types of crimes, convictions and sentences, so are they being convicted, and what a little bit closer look at the specialty programs directed at those with mental illness. We also are looking at moving forward, doing a study of police perceptions and police approaches that could be contributing to an increased number of mentally ill individuals in the county jail. Looking at behavioral health service providers in a little bit more detail and what they're doing and how we can enhance or perhaps work with some of the available programs a little bit better. For this component, we are actually in the process of seeking federal grant funding so that we can fund that component for you guys. Volume 5 of this will be communication, information sharing, and addressing mental illness. And then Volume 6 will be a focus on reintegration planning and continuity of care for those with mental illness, with a focus on those with mental illness. And all of these studies on this page, we're seeking federal funding to be able to address so that we can continue this work for you moving forward. We have started work on pretrial release and the pretrial release focus. We've had a subcommittee meeting. The pretrial services survey will be complete as of next week, and we will be able to report on those results at that time. We have started data analysis on the different types of pretrial services that are available, including the pretrial bonds, the bail bonds, et cetera, so that we can look at where people are going and which programs they're using. We now have the remaining subcommittee meetings scheduled, and we will have a report completed and presented to you by May 1st on pretrial services. We've started work on the high recidivism rates component as well. Data analysis is ongoing. This is one of the more difficult components of the study because you have to tie multiple data sources together to get at a recidivism rate. We are using the standard recidivism rate that has been developed in the previous studies that you have commissioned, in addition to 2 other measures that we want to look at so that we have kind of a multifaceted view of recidivism. The survey for that, for the stakeholders, will be sent once the pretrial survey process is complete next week. And we will start those subcommittee meetings. They're actually scheduled for the last 2 weeks of April. Reentry focus, so looking at reentry services and reentry planning. We have started work on that as well. We've started our conversations with our subcommittee chair, Mike Doyle, and we have scheduled those meetings as well, those subcommittee meetings. That survey will be released as well as soon as that pretrial services survey is complete next week. And then we will actually begin the subcommittee meetings not next week, but the week after now. We had to make some rearrangements to accommodate people's schedules. And then we have a substance use and abuse subcommittee that came out of the recommendations of the mental health subcommittee that this needs to be an area of focus in and of itself because of its contribution to the jail population. So we are working to develop a survey for this. We will start that survey immediately after the recidivism and reentry survey is complete to gain stakeholder perspectives and recommendations for, what are the strengths, what are the challenges, and what can we do moving forward. And we have actually started data analysis on this one, particularly since some of those analyses were already a component of the mental health analyses. We have started our work on the final report. We will be including the special focus areas in the report as well as the overall system evaluation, looking at kind of that broader big picture of what's going on in the jail population and identifying areas where we are doing really well and anything that might be able to be useful to you to improve the situation. We do have a final version drop dead date to have to you by June 1st. So we are on task with our project management plan to get that done and to you by June 1st. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I let you know is that we are in the process of applying for grants through the National Institute of Justice to continue this research beyond what you have funded. The focus of the grants that we are applying for is mostly on high recidivism and reentry and also the mental health component. We will not know about grants and if we are funded or not until late in the year, so that will probably be September, October, November for the grant money from the federal government to start January is typically how the cycle works. We're also looking into foundation funding and we're applying to the National Sciences Foundation as well, and that application will go in July to be funded. If it were funded, we would know probably October, November, and that funding would start in January. They're on a similar cycle. And that is my general overview, and if you have any questions for me, I'm glad to answer them.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I'd like to thank Dr. Hollis for the work that she and the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee have put into these various studies. The aim, of course, is to make our communities safer and to save us money in the process by not housing people for long terms in our county jail who don't represent a risk to public safety and who are there because they are mentally ill or because they can't write a check to get out. We need people in our jail. We need for the people in our jail to be the ones who truly need to be there to keep this community safe. All others should have other options available to them. And this is an attempt to get us to that place. So thank you, Dr. Hollis.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I've learned so much from your community and from all of you as well, so
Thank you.
it's fun for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the court, if we can go to item B, this is an update from MHMR Tarrant County. Ms. Garnett is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think we have some slides. There we are. So, I was thinking as I listened this morning that a lot of the topics that you've addressed, some directly address mental health, like your discussion on the jail, but also items that have been raised like child abuse and neglect, homelessness, other kinds of issues that involve the criminal justice system, all touch somewhere on mental health services. And frequently when people think about mental health services, they tend to think about psychiatry. And psychiatry is an important part of what we do, but we see our role as more than just delivering doctor visits. We see our role as helping people recover from illnesses and help to create for themselves, with our assistance, a stable life. And the program that I'm going to talk to you about today is a very small program called the Community Center that helps people in that kind of way. The Community Center is what we call a mental health drop-in center. It is located at about Jennings in Pennsylvania, and it's intended to be a safe place that people can come to, and we have activities there. It's free for people to come if you're involved with mental health services. You might be an MHMR client, you might be a client someplace else. Important to us is that it's peer-led, and that means that people who have had these kinds of illnesses and have recovered from these illnesses are able to help others in their journey. These are some photos from inside our center, and you can see there are really leisure kinds of activities available to people, but also computers and classes and some of those kinds of things. We really want every member of the program to feel that they're important to the success of the program. While there's not dues or anything like that to participate in the program, it is a peer-led program, and that means that there are leaders who are all participants of the program. Individuals who want to participate come and make an application, are accepted by the board of the center to participate, and then are subject to the rules of the center. And the rules are the rules that the peers of that organization have created for themselves. Most of the time people follow the rules because they like coming and they want to continue to come. If they don't follow the rules, the peer board makes the decision of how long somebody might be asked not to come back until they can comply with the rules. There's a snack bar there. We have showers with hygiene products available for individuals who might not, because of their homeless status, might not have a safe place to shower. We have washers and dryers there for individuals who don't live in a place where laundry is readily available, in order to help people with those kinds of things. We have lots of different activities that go on there. We were able a couple of years ago to work with the Master Gardeners to create a community garden, and for those who are interested in gardening, they are very busy in the spring and summer growing, and then they bring in the vegetables that they've that are produced there and harvested, and then share with the individuals who are interested from that. We have a snack bar that, again, is a peer-operated snack bar. They purchase the items in bulk and then sell them, and we make sure that anybody who comes there, if they don't have money, we make sure that there is a job available for them at the center so they can earn enough money to ensure that they are able to have lunch every day. The computers are in heavy use. If somebody doesn't know how to use a computer, there are classes there to help them, but they're able to find activities on the internet, or sometimes people are looking for jobs, but whatever kinds of things that they need. Today we know the internet is important for people, and if you don't have regular access to a computer in your home, this is a place where you can get that. This is just a sample of the calendar. There's a calendar produced every month with the activities that are available so people can plan around that. Most of the activities are right there at the center, although occasionally there are activities that are at other sites that people go to. But this is an example of one of our members who's been there for a very long time, and you know, as he says, this is his family. Our goal is to help connect people to friends, family, to their community, and to making better use of their community than they might have in their past. But we know that recovery is something that people have to work on over and over again throughout their lifetime, and this is one support that's available to them to help them do that. Peer support groups in order to help people work through any issues. Certainly they can be connected to services. We happen to have a mental health and substance use disorder clinic that's located right behind our community center. There's also housing nearby that many of our the participants live in some of the specialized housing that's nearby. Other programs that are our community partners like Samaritan House are nearby. So we want to provide a safe place for people to continue to recover. These are some folks on a bowling outing. Just a little breakdown for you to take a look at who we serve here. Over 500 people. Not 500 people there on any given day. It couldn't have 500 people in that building. But people come and go. Some people come several times a week, several times a month. And then a core group tend to come on a regular basis. It's a small program and one that we are very grateful for the support that Tarrant County offers that helps us ensure that this program is available. You can see some of the places that people come from and some of the other conditions that people might experience when they are participants in this program. So for this lady, it's her home away from home. It's the place where she can have the resources that help her to stay healthy. And while we know it's a good thing, it's been here for over 30 years, research says that ensuring that people have a good, solid social support system is part of what keeps them from repeatedly heading to jail, from repeatedly being engaged in negative activities. So providing a stable social structure is important for people. When we first started this program 30 plus years ago, these kinds of programs were very popular, and they existed all over the country. In time, the focus became more focused in mental health services just on psychiatry, on medications. Those are incredibly important, but they're not the only thing that makes a difference in people's lives. And so now we're seeing that there's starting to be renewed interest in programs like these that are ultimately very low cost, but that provide a lot of social support for people. So we know that we've been able to have some folks come and visit. Some of your staff have come and visited these programs. We love this program and are always anxious to show you the program. So if anybody is interested in learning more, certainly come to see us. We would love that. And if there's any questions I can answer for you, I'd love to do that too.
Just a comment, Susan. It looks like a wonderful program, a great addition to the array of services available in our community, and I do want to come and get a tour. It looked to me, just on looking at your numbers, that there are segments of our population who are substantially underrepresented in your client base at this center. And we might have some discussions about outreach, especially to the Hispanic community that is woefully underrepresented, and perhaps the Asian community as well is underrepresented. Let's talk about some outreach.
Okay, we would love to do that. Yeah, this is a voluntary program. We know that a lot of the people who come to this program have transportation needs. It's located on a bus line, so it has a certain amount of convenience, although we know that still, even being on a bus line, people can have long travel. And it's the only program that we have like this in Tarrant County. Tarrant County is pretty big, and
Right.
people live in a lot of different areas of the county.
You provide the transportation for a lot of those individuals, or is this one of the programs where you help provide the transportation?
In this particular program, people make it there on their own. So some people come by bus. Very, very few people come there in their own vehicles. Some have friends who drop them off or families who drop them there, and they may spend the entire day there and then be picked up in the afternoon. And some people actually will walk. Some of the people who are homeless, for instance, may come from across town to come and
Right.
spend the day in a safe place all day.
Have you calculated, I know we've got a meeting
Mm-hmm.
in the near future, have you done any calculations of where you're paying for rides, what the cost per ride is running you?
We haven't really calculated in that way. We provide transportation in a variety of different ways. In group homes that we operate, for instance, we have multiple vehicles that provide transportation to people throughout the community. We also purchase bus passes for people. We sometimes will support families to assist their loved ones in coming to see us. So we have so many different kinds of operations where we do transportation. There's not a one calculation for a ride. There's not a one ride. There's so many different types of rides. But we could look at specific types of rides and calculate around that.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing that I would note, and it especially is a little relevant compared when you look at the previous presentation, is that I know y'all have for years worked on training police as well as working with them to recognize folks with mental issues, mental behavior issues, so that as they encounter them, whether it be on the streets or wherever they may be called to, that you've got a 24/7 service that they can call and check to see whether these individuals may be in our system. And then if they are in the system and it appears to be something that maybe they're off their meds or whatever, that there's actually a place that the police can bring them and drop them off as opposed to booking them into the system?
Well, we have a resource that's available 24 hours a day to police officers, a special line where they're talking to individuals who are part of our law enforcement liaison program. So they can get information, as you said, about whether or not a person might be in our system, might have missed an appointment, and might, rather than going deeper into the police officer's work, might instead need resources from us. We do have a mobile crisis outreach team that can go out, again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's available to, that has highly trained mental health staff that can meet an officer on the scene if that's what's necessary, can go out and the officer might leave and our staff might stay. It's available not just for people involved with law enforcement, it's available to anybody who has a psychiatric crisis, whether they have insurance or don't have insurance. We don't want to sort those things out. We want to work on the crisis first. So that mobile crisis outreach team is available for that. The mobile crisis outreach team has available to it our crisis respite programs. These are programs that people might come to briefly, men or women or adolescents who need a brief period of separation maybe from family or the other people that they're involved with. We also work very closely with JPS. We rely on JPS's Psychiatric Emergency Center. Again, our staff are based at JPS. We coordinate with them quite a bit. If a police officer had an individual who truly had a psychiatric crisis and needed hospitalization, the officer would transport to JPS. JPS would do its work with them, and then we would interface over the resources that the individual needed as they left the hospital and came out into the community. So we have a variety of places where we and JPS intersect to meet the needs of people with psychiatric illnesses.
And I think the key to that is, again, it's collaboration. If you look at the other major urban county jails, most of them are at or above capacity. I think in just about every one of those instances, we are, those jails are the residents of the vast majority of the mental health patients within the community where they're not receiving the types of things. And I think in large part of the reason why we are not at capacity, at or over capacity, is because there is this collaboration with the police, with the sheriff's department, with MHMR, with JPS, and with any other number of agencies who are, again, attempting to find a better solution than simply to place these individuals in jail.
Absolutely. And I'm sure as the study proceeds, one of the things that we're going to see is the importance of coordinating care for individuals who receive mental health services in the jail as they leave the jail. And this is something that, as you may be aware, the sheriff's office JPS and MHMR have been working on for a couple of years to figure out where are there things that we can do a little bit differently in order to ensure that if the individual received psychiatric services in the jail, that comparable services or better services are available to them outside the jail. Because we know if we can get people healthy, we're going to reduce their likelihood of ending up back in jail. And nobody can feel good about an individual who has 15 arrests, 15 visits to the jail in a year. Almost by definition, it tells you that none of them have been very big offenses that were created, and frequently they're offenses that were committed in part because of the person's illness. So we want to find ways to serve them in a more robust fashion in the community, and give them other resources to reach to, so that's not where they end up. So we try and connect to all those different places, but as you point out, collaboration to us is key. We could not do our job without the partnership of the Sheriff's Office, JPS, and other entities that help us sort through these things and find the right path for people.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I think it does somewhat of a disservice to this entire discussion to leave people with the impression that there is widespread diversion of mentally ill persons from the jail because a few of our police officers have crisis intervention training. That is not widespread in this community. It's not widespread throughout our police agencies. And the fact is that the county jail is still the largest provider of mental health services in the county. And we need to continue to work on that, continue to get better, and to continue to provide options for diversion so that we can truly say that this is happening in our community.
Well, I truly think it is happening, and that's why we have some capacity in the jail. And I think you have been, I don't know how many agencies that you offer the training to?
The law enforcement liaison work is available to every police agency in the county.
Have many of them taken opportunity?
Many of them, particularly the smaller departments, tend to work very closely with us. Some of the very largest departments have a lot of resources of their own, and so they coordinate with us in a different kind of way. We absolutely would agree with the commissioner that, as long as people who could be better served and the community can still remain safe are in jail, we're not doing a good enough job. We can do better than this. We can certainly make improvements. I think that we have a good foundation to build on, though, and I think that's what we're proud of. Again, when we think about individuals who have mental health issues, I think one of the things that we always try and point out is that individuals with mental health conditions are far more likely to be victimized than they are to victimize somebody else.
I know we can always do better,
Yeah.
but I always like to look at that glass as being half full as opposed to looking at it as being half empty.
And we think that...
So do I.
Yes, and we think that, if you come and visit us at the community center, you'll see people who have spent time in jail in the past, and their involvement with the community center helps to make their life stable enough that that's not probably a part of their future, and we're glad for that, for their sake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Members of the court, if we can go to item C. This is going to be an update on our federal legislative issues. Mr. Pikes is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy to join you and give you our, I guess this is now our quarterly report. I was here in December, and a lot has happened since then. I have worked in Washington and in politics since 1996, and this is probably the most surreal time I can remember. And it does have some impact on our work, which I'll mention here in a moment, particularly on the waiver. There were a couple of races where some of our allies were in jeopardy but survived, so that's good news. I realize I'm the last thing on your agenda, so I will try to keep this relatively short and then take your questions. There's sort of two components to what we're doing. There's kind of our congressional outreach administrative list, which we continue to work on. The key thing here I want to emphasize is that this being an election year, it's highly unlikely that we'll have a normal appropriation process or even an omnibus. We did the omnibus in December. This will most certainly be a continuing resolution year. And so things will sort of stay at current levels. The one sort of interesting piece, and I mentioned this in December, and I've reached out to a couple of you with some more specifics on the new Highway Trust Fund bill, which is a 5-year bill, and does provide some block grant opportunities to local municipalities. So I'm happy to talk at length with any of you on that if you want to continue that conversation, but I think there's some real possibilities for the county to pursue. I want to spend the lion's share of my presentation today on the waiver, because that's honestly what we're really focused on now. It's so vitally important to the county. There are a couple of updates here since I was here in December. The first being, you may recall, I mentioned that we would receive a response from CMS to the waiver renewal application. We have done so. They have reached out to Texas HHC officials, and essentially what they have done is they have asked for a study to be done, particularly on the uncompensated care pool. And so the state is now in the process. I believe last week they actually finalized a contract with some consultants to do the study and provide responses to CMS on why the waiver is working and why it should be continued, and on the uncompensated care pool actually increased. They actually asked for an increase in the dollars.
Who did they hire?
I'm sorry?
What firm
Well,
did they hire?
they originally had talked to the University of Texas, and as you and I talked, we actually recommended UNT. That did not work. They ended up, it's a group led by Deloitte and a couple of others that they already had under contract. And they added it to their scope of work. And I believe that was finalized last week. So the purpose of the study will be to document for CMS why the state believes that the waiver is working as is, and why an increase in the uncompensated care pool makes sense. CMS, just so you kind of, we're pretty honest about the politics here, CMS is raising these questions because they would prefer the state look at Medicaid expansion. And so what HHSC is going to do is try to document for them why this system works the way it is, why we are paying for results and performance, and why the uncompensated pool should be continued. So because we now have a response, we are in the process of beginning our third phase of the campaign. We have finished all of our meetings and our touches on the Hill in terms of getting the delegation support. You saw the letter that we did in December with 37 of the 38 members of the delegation. Now that we have a response from CMS, we're beginning a new round of meetings and contacts where we, again, try to have people reach out and touch CMS and the administration in particular to talk about why this program is working, why we support the full renewal, and also why, in light of this study being done, which won't be completed until the summer, it might make sense to look at some sort of a short-term extension. And those conversations are actually going on right now between Commissioner Traylor and the CMS. They're meeting regularly. They're talking, if not weekly, every couple of weeks. And they tell us those meetings are going very well. Our role in this, as you know, working with THA and HHSC is particularly on the Hill, trying to build support as much as we can and get the word out to CMS and to the administration that the program is working, we believe, and we'll have the documents and the numbers to show once the study comes in. But at a minimum, they should look at a short-term extension, which is not a bad outcome for us. It continues the program as is. And then hopefully eventually look at the full renewal as well. I mentioned at the top politics playing into this, Kevin Brady, who's chairman of Ways and Means, which is the committee that has oversight on CMS, actually had a pretty serious challenge in March and survived, which was good news for us. We worked very closely with his people on this issue. So we are working very hard. We're going to, in the next 3 months, we expect to do another 120 rounds of meetings, phone calls, letters, emails. These are touches. These are Commissioner Brooks coming up in a couple of weeks. It's Judge Whitley coming up in May. It's Scott Stewart on the ground every day. I've actually been going to D.C. quite a bit as well. So we're going to be pounding the pavement pretty hard, making the rounds, continuing to build momentum and support on the Hill. And then when I come back in the summer, I'll have more information for you on CMS's response to the study and what our next steps are. So let me stop there and take any questions or comments that you may have.
Are you working in concert with any other entities?
We are. So we work, we do weekly meetings with the Texas Hospital Association, as well as HHSC. We are looking for ways to work with other counties as well, other public hospitals. So it is a true team effort. I mean, the waiver is statewide, and we have sort of, our piece of this has sort of become the Hill. because we have, in Scott and Stewart and myself, people on the ground that can do meetings. We have commissioners that are willing to travel and do meetings, and so that's kind of become our piece of this. But HHSC is very heavily focused on CMS and meeting directly with them. THA a little less so, but very involved in that as well. So there are different allies doing different things, all pushing for the same goal.
Any other questions? Thanks, Casey.
Thank you all.
Members of the court, that's the end of the briefing. Your Honor, we have one audience participation.
Yes, we have an audience participation form from Millard Vincel. Please come forward. Please go ahead and repeat your name and your address for the record.
Morning. My name is Millard Vincel. I live at 12655 Foster Circle, Azle, Texas, 76020.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I have lived on Eagle Mountain Lake for 46 years. And over this time, the boats have become bigger and louder. There are boats now coming from the Gulf Coast that are licensed for the Gulf Coast, which I'm told is also they're able to run on Eagle Mountain Lake. I live on the lake. And these boats, I can sit in my house and watch television, and they can be idling across the lake, and I will hear them. I will really hear them when they gun it. There's also jet boats on the lake, and that are running straights. And my question is, I've been calling the Lake Patrol for the last 3 years and telling them about this, and nothing has been done. So my question is, why isn't something being done by the officers of the Lake Patrol? That's one question. If you could answer that for me. I guess it's primarily to Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Vincel, let me kind of tell you where we are and what we'll have to do at this point. Because the item was not on our agenda as such, a formal posted agenda, then state law prohibits us from publicly addressing your questions at this point in time. So what we have to do by state law, not by what we would like to do, but what we have to do by state law is let you, after you've discussed your questions, give those questions to Mr. Manius, our administrator, and see if we can respond in a way that will help you, or it may, be able to see if we can help you in some way or shape or form. And then if we can't do that, then at that point in time, we need to post the items on the agenda, and then you can come back and we can talk. But what happens is we have to go off of our posted agenda or we violate the law. So we won't be able to respond to your questions today. Mr. Manius will help you after you're finished. And then if between the two of y'all we can't resolve this, then we'll come back to court, we'll post it, and then we can have that in the public and we can respond to your questions.
Okay, thank you.
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm told for 46 years there's no noise ordinance for Tarrant County. And I have recently been told by the DA of Tarrant County and Lake Worth that there is a state law for disorderly conduct. And under that, it in essence shortly states that, unreasonable public noise over 85 decibels. And, a lawnmower is over 85 decibels. These boats are well over 100 to 200 decibels. And when I call the Lake Patrol and I tell them where the boats are, even though the Gulf Coast people, they don't even have numbers on their boats. But they know who they are because I've been calling them for 3 years. And they know where they stay on the lake. I know where they stay on the lake during the weekends. And I tell them where they're at, and they say, well, we're not going to go looking for them. If we hear them, then we'll address it. And to me, that's just not right, Lake Patrol goes all over the lake, and they don't primarily stay down on my end of the lake. They normally stay up on the south end of the lake. And when they come down, they just stay there for, 30, 45 minutes, and if they don't hear anything, they go back or wherever. And it's just not getting any attention. Either this state law, which states disorderly conduct over 85 decibels, is upheld on Eagle Mountain Lake, or it's not upheld over Eagle Mountain Lake. Then we go back to no noise ordinance. I need to have clarification of one or the other. Either it's upheld on the residents and the lake, of Eagle Mountain Lake, the disorderly conduct, or it's not upheld. And if it's not upheld, then no noise ordinance on Eagle Mountain Lake. You know, I need clarification of no noise ordinance or disorderly conduct. And whichever one they go by, that's fine with me. But it seems that the DA in Lake Worth, in some instances, does write up property owners, which there are bans on the lake now, more bans than ever. They're very loud. They're going to 12 o'clock at night. I can sit on my boat dock and hear them loudly. Either they are under it or they are not under it. So primarily what I'm really needing is a clarification of, does the disorderly conduct pertain to Eagle Mountain Lake or does it not? And if it's not, does no noise ordinance pertain to Eagle Mountain Lake?
Thank you very much for bringing your concerns and your comments. Again, if you will get with Mr. Manius, I think he probably got a good idea, but let him just kind of repeat it back and make sure that when he begins to research this, that we know exactly what you're asking, and it's pretty plain, but go ahead and check with him, and then hopefully y'all will be able to resolve that. And again, if not, then you can ask him to put it on our agenda and we'll talk about it at that standpoint.
Thank you
very much for coming out.
allowing me to talk to you.
That we will now recess our open meeting and proceed to discuss items exempted under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. I'll turn mine down to nothing. You can turn yours up, you can have some of my extra.
I turn yours up when I'm sitting there.
That's why it's louder. Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we are adjourned.
Yes, sir.